Hi, everyone. It's Kimber, the Study Abroad Specialist. Welcome to day 5 of the Learn How to Study Abroad in America mini series. So, for today's video, we are going to be talking about community colleges. So, community colleges are what I like to call sort of the stepchild of colleges here in the US. Unfortunately, there is a lot of a sort of unwritten stigma around community colleges in America for whatever reason. I think that there is because whether people like to admit it or not, here in the US, we are educational snobs in a lot of ways. We already have the stigma against people who don't go to college. We don't do enough promotion around getting trade work or doing different things like that. So you already have it where if you don't go to college, there's already a certain stigma around that in certain circles. And for community college, there's also a stigma around that in a lot of ways. People don't like to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. So, what we're going to be doing in today's video is going through and highlighting the value of community college. There are so many wonderful community colleges around the country that are perfect for international students. And believe it or not, community colleges around this country have huge international student population. So a lot of students find community colleges, they may not even heard about them in the process, and then they're like, this is a great opportunity. It is a great gateway into the higher education system here in America. And so I definitely want you to learn more about it. It's also a great way to find value affordability wise because they tend to be a lot less expensive than your private universities or colleges and then even your public university. So we're going to talk about that. For day 5 of our series, we are talking about community colleges. So with community colleges, I always like talking about community colleges because I feel like they are sort of an underrated gem that a lot of people in our country look over, and the way that it is sold to students, and I've sort of touched on this, but in this country we are definitely academic snobs, even though a lot of people don't end up going to colleges anyway. But for the people who are the college class and the university class, there is a lot of snobbery in this country. People don't like to mention it. They don't like to talk about it. They pretend like it's not there. I will not do that. I'm going to talk about it. I don't care. So it's true. You know, we judge people on where they go to college and what school you got into and all this garbage, which really does not matter. Please do not do this. This is something else that, you know, for international students, I want you to lead the way. I know that a lot of you do because you're coming into it sort of like new to everything. So it's like, of course, you know about the Ivy Leagues and all of that. And if that's where you want to go, I think that's great. But my goal in terms of being your study abroad coach and of helping students in general is just to help people stop being so obtuse. Like that is my number one thing. We need to get out of this obtuse thinking of thinking there's only one way to get to a destination. And there is not. I've talked about before that in 2008, 2009, there were a lot of kids who were standing in the unemployment line that were from Yale, and a lot of them that were from community colleges. So it did not matter. And while I know that you can get the name brand on your list, and that can be a great thing, it is no guarantee of anything. And unfortunately, in this country, we just pump that at people that if you go here, and then you're going to get this, and then this is going to happen. That is a lie. It's not necessarily going to happen for you. You need to choose the best place that is for you and for what you want to do, and stop worrying about other people. That's pretty much my motto. And that's what I want all my students to do. Forget what other people want you to do. Do what you need to do. This is your life. And so for community colleges, I always like to promote community colleges for students. I think that there needs to be an overall shift in the way that we talk about college and promote community college as an option. And so I love that over the past 10 years, a lot more people have talked about community colleges in that way, particularly at the national level, because there are so many great community colleges in this country, and it is a great gateway, if you will, into the university system and the college system here in the U.S. And for international students as well, it's going to be something that if you don't quite know what you want to do, but you want to come and study in the U.S., but you're not ready yet to commit to spending all that money, and you don't know if I want to go to this type of school, that type of school, that community college can give you that intro into sort of the system and just help you learn so that you can decide if you want to transfer. A lot of students at community colleges decide they want to transfer and go to 4-year colleges or four-year universities and finish up their degrees. So there's nothing wrong with it. And in a lot of ways, I feel like these students are smarter, especially if you don't know what you want to do. If you know what you want to do and you're committed to getting a degree that is meaningful and going to actually have some benefits for you, I think it's great to dive right in. But I don't look down at all on students who say, I want to start at a community college, be able to maybe work on the side, be able to do all these different things. There are lots of benefits in that. So I say all of that to just point out some of the community college systems. Again, they're just like the other colleges and universities. There are so many different community colleges, but there are a lot of sort of systems as well. So you have, for example, the Rockland Community College, which is in New York. So it's similar to the state of New York system, the SUNYs. Salt Lake Community College, the California Community Colleges system, which I have to just say, I'm going to go ahead and say this because I always say what I think, and I can definitely speak from personal experience with this because I have taken some classes at community colleges as well, that truly and deeply, and this is going to shock a lot of people, that for as much smack that I myself and a lot of people talk about California, I would say that California probably has the leading edge community college system in the world. And I can talk more about that in later on in the series and about the way that they work so closely with making it nearly seamless for people to be able to transfer schools. It is something that I feel actually should be the model of the country when it comes to community colleges, and that if people looked more at what California community colleges were doing, I know that a lot of times when you hear California, you want to just shut everything out because there are so many horrible things about the state in particular, but that is something that they have done really well, is the community colleges are outstanding. The way that they work really closely with the UC system, the University of California system, and the CSU system, the state university system, really closely, and how students are able to easily transfer over is something that could not be matched. And so you can put that out there any day. I stand on that. People know how I feel in a lot of ways about California, but you cannot take away the fact that they have the best community college system in the entire country. It's just a fact. And it's ranked the number one community college system in the country. That's a fact. You can stand on it, take it to the bank. So with these different systems, some of the pros and cons we're going to go through as well. So to start out with the pros of the community colleges for international students, like I said before, this is going to be great because it's an introduction into the U.S. college system. So this is kind of a great place to start. Again, if you don't know what you want to do, or you're like, I'm coming from, India and I'm really excited to be here, but I have zero clue about how this thing works in America. I just want to get started, meet people. This could be a great way to do that. You'd be surprised as well. Now, if you've not had a chance to download the freebie where I give you the quick hit list of the colleges, you will see that there are quite a few community colleges included on that. There are lots of community colleges in this country that have huge international student populations, and they are not older students either. They are young students who have decided that they want to come to America and start out at a community college. I think it is awesome. And then, like I said, they decide they want to transfer to a different school later on. Now, the opportunity to integrate into a local community easily, that's going to be really important, right? So one of the great things about a community college is that it's similar to what I was saying about a public university, where you meet a lot more local people, but there's less people. So community colleges may have 700 students. They may have 400 students. It really depends on where you're going to be. So you really do get to meet a lot more of the local people, and you meet people from all walks of life, which is really important. So everyone who is a student is not necessarily a traditional student. They could be someone who is coming back maybe after being in the military, or they may have gone off and had a baby or something, and then now they're coming back to school later in life. So for a lot of people, that's a really cool experience. Like I said, I've taken some certain classes that I need to take during summer times in community colleges, and I liked having the different experience of being in a class where, some people were a lot older, maybe a grandparent's age, and there were some people who were even younger than I was, and that's a lot different from a traditional college experience that I was having at my regular college campus. So it was just really nice to be able to integrate a bit more with a local community. They also do have, compared to the other schools, a lot more pay-as-you-go options and non-committal options. So if you are someone who you're just looking to just pick up a course here and there, like I was just saying, you can do that, compared to, you can't necessarily just go and pick up a course from a public university. You can in some instances, let's say you're doing maybe summer studies or something, but it's a lot more difficult to do that without going through the entire application process. And the application process for community colleges tends to be a lot more simple. As long as you fill out the right forms and you show that, for example, for international students, that you have the visa that you need and all your documents, you should be fine. It's not going to take you that long. And a lot of times they don't charge you an application fee either. That leads into the affordability, that community colleges are a lot more affordable overall for not just international students, but for everyone. And so that's why a lot of people choose them, particularly when they are just getting started with college, because everything that you would end up paying, not just for your tuition, but for, you're going to see it in a minute, not just for your tuition, but for your books and for everything else, is going to be a lot more cost effective than, let's say, going to even a public university. And as well, like, it just gives you the chance to be able to make some key decisions. When we send kids off to go to these 4-year schools, a lot of times they don't know what they want to do. And so it's a lot of wasted time. It's a lot of wasted money as well. And so a lot of times community college can be the stopgap of that, of allowing students to be able to get a feel for what it means to be a college student, get a feel for what it means to do all these different things, and then go off to, a bigger college or university. I just think that just makes so much more sense. And I wish that we lived in a country where that was championed a lot more and not just looked down upon as, oh, those are those people over there going to community college. I mean, you would be surprised the conversations that I've heard personally of people bashing people going to community colleges. Not people who are just taking a class, but people who've decided after high school, let's say they want to go to a community college, they treat people as if they've just committed a crime because they didn't choose the route that everyone else has chosen. And in a lot of ways, they end up a lot better. So I will always champion people who decide they want to do that. I think that in the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and forget about what everyone else thinks. So the cons for community colleges for international students, there definitely are some cons, as they would be for any student. But I think particularly for international students, I think about the fact that if you're coming here, you want to be part, not just of the campus community, but also part of your just overall community that you're moving into. So there's not really going to be a lot of campus culture, or if there is, it's kind of limited because, again, you have people who are coming from all walks of life. A lot of people who go to community college may be taking classes at night. We call it night school. And so they may be like a full-time person, like with a real adult job. I say that now as someone who has a real adult job, but it's like you're a 20-something and they are in their 50s and they work all day and then they take a class at night and they're trying to get their degree or whatever it is. Or even for people who are also maybe in your same age group, a lot of them, they just come to school and then they leave. So there's not a lot of campus culture. I would say that in a lot of ways, ironically, community colleges in this country are a lot similar to what you might find at the university level in other countries like the UK or like Europe or other parts of the world, where it literally is just like a set of buildings. People come, they learn, and then their life is lived off campus. So if that's not your jam, then a community college may not be good for you for that particular reason, because it is harder to build a community in that way. You're going to meet people in your classes and if you have to do group work, but it's a lot harder to sort of have that built-in community of join this club, join that activity. They do have some activities. There are lots of community colleges that have student unions and different things like that, but there's just less of a focus on getting people involved because everyone's kind of off doing their own thing, and there's no like on-campus living or anything. So there's not that chance to have like a common place to congregate. And, you run into this person every day because you're all there for the same reason besides just doing the study. So just think about that as well. The classes will vary in size and experience. So in terms of the size, community college classes tend to be a lot smaller. So you could be looking at 25, 30 people because, again, a lot of community colleges are small itself. But you also have that variation in experience that you wouldn't have necessarily at the undergraduate level in a, let's say, private college, where it's like at a community college, like I said, you could have someone who is in their 20s that they just got into college and they may have only had maybe a job at Starbucks or something. And then you have someone sitting next to them who is a full-time worker at an office somewhere, and they are doing all these different things. They could be a grandparent, you know what I mean? And so it's like, there's definitely a range of experience, but I think that in a lot of ways, from what I know, and even from my own experience, that's really useful to a lot of the students. They tend to learn a lot from those people who are much more experienced than them in those classes. And there tends to be a lot more richer conversation because you have people in there that are not all just kind of new to the game of college and all of that, and are kind of new to just life experiences. And so a lot of times you can get more sort of richer engagement as you kind of go through. And then the other thing as well that is important to think about is that even the professors, I want to talk about the professors and the instructors at the community colleges. Like, I think that's another part of it, that in this sort of snobbery culture in this country of colleges, we don't give the community college professors and instructors enough sort of attention. If you may not know, but our current First Lady, she's been teaching in community college. I think she actually still teaches now, even though she's a First Lady, which is kind of rare. Most First Ladies don't have a job, but I think she's also currently a teacher. She's been community college advocate for a very long time, and she's taught at community college for a long time. And so you could get someone like First Lady teaching you. That's usually not going to be the case, but there are so many talented people in community colleges there, and they don't see it as a step down. A lot of times they're there for a great mission and to be able to help people. Like I said, I have taken lots of different classes at community colleges that I need to pick up a credit here, a credit there, and I've had great professors that were in a lot of ways better than anything I met at the public university or even my private college, as much as I loved it. So there is something to be said about that these people are doing a lot of great work, and even though they may not have huge name ID behind them, and they may not be teaching in some prestigious name brand building that was donated by whoever for $50 million, that they're still doing an excellent job, and that community college is an overall great value for a lot of people, and it shouldn't be talked down upon. So I feel very passionate about that. I feel that we just have to have a different narrative in this country. And I know that with international students, like I said, you're coming into it kind of more bright-eyed and less obtuse, I would say. Like, you're much less obtuse than Americans in the way that you think about things like this. So just keep that up and just consider community college as an option for you as well. Last but not least, I wanted to point out here that there's not the representative of the commercialized American college experience. So we sort of talked about this, but again, you're not going to find a huge culture on campus, and it can be a lot difficult, but you definitely can make your own way. You're going to meet people, and what you don't find on campus, you can definitely find off campus in wherever you're living and whatever you're doing. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, just keep an open mind and consider a community college as an option as well if you want to come and study here in America. So the other thing that I kind of already went off into this, I tend to do that a lot because I just like to just get straight to the point of everything. Like, I don't feel that kind of beating around the bush and being politically correct about everything is going to help anyone. It's a huge disservice, and we do that a lot in this country where we just want to like be cute and, I'm going to just not say this because I don't care if you're offended. You need to hear the truth. So fighting the stigma of community college, I talked about this, but I just want you to know that if you do decide to go to a community college, that there's nothing wrong with that, and that it can often set you up for something even better. There are so many students who, whether they kind of knew what they want to do going into a community college, they decide that they want to do that, and then they transfer. They could have, let's say, transferred from, I can't even think of a community college right now. Let's say Santa Monica College, because I have some experience with that particular college in California. They went to that school and they decided they want to transfer from there to Princeton. They ended up getting full ride scholarship. That happens all the time. That is one of the benefits of a community college, is that you're able to it's sort of like pulling back on the lever and then accelerating yourself even further. Not all the time, but that does happen a lot compared to people who just go straight for the huge nugget all the time. And so I just always like to say that I don't want you to ever feel that if you decide to come to this country and choose a community college that you've done something wrong. It doesn't mean that you have made a bad choice. It means that you have made the choice that is right for you, and that you are good enough. You're going to get some great experience there. I've just talked about that, of how you're going to find some phenomenal professors in these community colleges, you're going to find a lot of people who have a lot of great experience teaching for years and years. And just because they are not at a fancy name brand school, it doesn't mean that they are less. It doesn't mean that you are less. So just keep that in mind. And coming from me, just understand that I know what you might be facing if you hear people talk about that. And do not listen to those people. They do not matter. Community colleges are just as valuable and just as important as other colleges in this country. So thinking about the affordability, how much does it cost? As you see here, like I said, in the private college that we are on the downslope now, so you can breathe a little bit more. This is the best price you've ever seen, right? So that is another reason why choosing a community college can have value, because you're going to come out of the gate not having to spend a lot of money right off. And then, like I said, you have that accelerator. You may be able to get such good grades at a community college, you can propel yourself to something that is completely different. You end up with a full scholarship, half scholarship, something that is not obtainable by a lot of people who have lived here all their lives. So nearly $10,000, that is nothing really for, I mean, like when people see that, they're like, oh my gosh, like that's a bargain. That's what I joke about with study abroad for a lot of my American students, when they're like, oh, like, you know, $15,000 for a study abroad program, I could do that, because that is nothing compared to what we have to pay every year to go to colleges and universities here. So this is based on the average of the top 8 community college systems within the country, and this is for 2021, so it's fairly recent. So just kind of keep that in mind, that it is going to be much more affordable, and there is a lot of benefit to a community college for an international student. I will see you tomorrow for day 6. So as we wrap up day 5 talking about community colleges, I hope that it is giving you some insights into another pathway as an international student. Maybe you had not even heard about community colleges before. That is potentially true, but there is so much value in them, and there are so many international students that choose to do that before they transfer to another school. It is a great way to save money and to actually just get from the ground up experience within the American higher education system. So I hope that that has been great for you. In tomorrow's video, we are going to begin looking at the application process for American colleges and universities at the bare basics level, what that might look like for you. So I hope you're getting excited, and I will see you for day 6.